Hello and welcome to another incredible episode of My Wheelhouse, our quirky and very fun basketball TV show. I'm your host, Seamus. As always, I'm joined by a new guest, one of my great friends, Connor. Connor, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Shay.
Yeah, it should be a great time. I don't really have anything to get to before the wheel. We're going to do some wheel. We got a big mailbag section to get through. Maybe we'll play cards. We'll see how much time we have. We're just going to kind of freeball it. So Whenever you're ready, we'll see how you stack up. Yeah, Mike will watch from home because he's not on this episode. He's going to judge you on your spinning ability.
I didn't get to hang out with Mike. He's
yeah.
like a really cool guy.
Oh, what a great way to start. Okay, so the My Wheelhouse Fantasy Basketball Dynasty Draft League. All right, so the My Wheelhouse show and website contributors have all banded together to produce a My Wheelhouse Dynasty Basketball League. The draft began on the 3rd. What is it today? The 11th. So it's been going a slow draft. We probably do like 4 or 5 picks a day.
Very slow.
Very slow. I wanted to know what you thought of your team so far. Maybe give me a couple of your highlights. Any other teams jump off the page towards you?
I love my team.
Yeah?
I got Kyrie right off the bat.
Oh, Celtic.
And I'm so excited to have like a good Celtic. Sorry, Isaiah, not that you're bad, but
Right.
Very excited about that. I got Miles Turner.
Oh.
Kind of a question mark. Not really sure how he's going to do this year. I'm sure. I'm building for the future.
Yeah, definitely.
Essentially.
No, that's
I got a lot of good young players.
right. That's how it kind of broke down.
Yeah.
So it's like you could kind of tell, especially with your team, people either are building for contending right now or building for the future. So like it's hard to find like rankings for this type of a league because not that many people do dynasty leagues. So it really varies. So some ranking things only do the rebuilding rankings, and Ben Simmons will be like a top 5 player. But other things are very more abstract. So I was looking through it. So Matt has a team. He's on the show. Logan has a team. Dylan's like the only one who hasn't been on the team or contributed. Biddies has never been on the show, but he's contributed to the website before. So what was it? Dylan, Matt, and Logan all have players that are like kind of past their prime and are kind of just like they're clearly trying to win right now. Like Matt has like Steph, Gobert. He picked Kevin Love. He picked Al Horford. He just picked IT. So he's trying to win right now. But like 2 years from now, his team's gonna suck.
Yeah, I don't know how that's gonna work.
And the same thing with Ray. Ray picked all players like in their prime or out of their prime right now. I was talking to him. He was like, I hate to say it, but like I don't think this league is going to last longer than 5 years.
Yeah,
I was like, dude, what did you?
Downer.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Pessimist. What a pessimist.
Maybe he'll get the boot like after the first year.
Wow, just replace him?
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah.
No, I like your team. You've had a couple times where you've picked people that I was looking for. I like Maryland's.
I also consult you before every pick.
That's
so
true.
That might have something to do with
I
that.
feel like I'm kind of shooting myself in the foot a little bit.
I know.
Because I talk to everyone in the league.
Okay, do you?
Yeah, just
I was
about
gonna
like,
say.
and they ask me what players I like, and like I'm not going to like lie. Sometimes
Yeah.
I don't say anything, but like,
Yeah.
so I've been gypped at my players. Sam from the first episode 1 took Embiid and Ben Simmons together.
That was tough. I wanted to get.
But yeah, I
Embiid.
wanted one of those guys. But I mean, I'm pretty excited. It's a slow draft. I mean, maybe Dylan will phone in a pick right now, but probably not.
Yeah, certain players have been holding up the draft process more than others.
Definitely Dylan. Dylan definitely takes the longest.
Yeah.
He hasn't been on the show. We'll have to have him on, and then we'll harp on him when he gets here. Yeah. But just rookies that have been selected. So Ben Simmons is technically a rookie. He's technically the first one that came off the board.
He was the first one? Was it Alonzo?
No. So the turn went up, and first pick in the 3rd round was Ben Simmons, and then Biddies picked Lonzo as the 7th pick in the 3rd round. So they both went in the same round. Okay. You were saying before that Ben Simmons, you feel like he's not getting the hype that you were expecting.
I'm shocked people aren't freaking out like in excitement. I'm looking forward to seeing him play more than any other rookie this year.
I mean, what was it? We were saving it, but we're going to a Sixers game. We bought tickets. We're going to a Sixers game. We're locked in.
We're very excited about that.
I think we bought tickets because of Simmons and Embiid. Like we want to see those players. Those are exciting guys.
And I want to see Markel.
Oh, that's true. Fultz is awesome. So there you go. Good lead-in. He was the 3rd rookie picked off the board. He was picked 2 rounds later by Ben. Ben's been on the show several times, so Ben got him. I was pissed because that was one pick right before me. I was supposed to get him. But you can kind of see the trend. The trend kind of follows, like, not necessarily the draft process to a T, but kind of like players were hyped and what their role is going to be.
Yeah.
So Dennis Smith, I have Dennis Smith, very happy Dennis Smith.
That's an awesome pick.
Yeah, you can kind of just like assume that the order of the rookies that get picked in are going to be like who's going to have the biggest role right away.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the way that the draft works for everything. You know, for the younger players, you want the ones that are going to have a bigger role, most likely to expand and become better. I don't know. I like it so far. I think the slow draft is not stressful.
No, it's awesome. There's no pressure. Not like the minute and a half ticking down or whatever, 2 minutes, and that's always very stressful.
It was funny because we started a week and a half ago, so in that time span, I've done like fantasy football drafts, and just fantasy basketball. This is slower, much less stressful. I feel like I do know a little bit more, but at the same time, in comparison, this is way better.
It's not even close for me, but also that's probably just because I like basketball better.
Who are you looking to get in the next round?
Um,
Secret picks? I don't have any players
Who
here.
did I?
You just picked Gary Harris.
I picked Gary Harris. He was on my team last year. He did well for
Yeah.
me.
You got some players here.
know.
You can look at your players.
Let's see.
I'm going for a small forward. I'm going to try to get Rondé Hollis-Jefferson next.
I was
Heard it
thinking
here
about
first.
that.
Heard it here
Or
first.
Contavious.
Yeah, heard it here first.
I like both of those. I don't know, just young guys. The first thing I look at is the age.
Yeah, I agree.
Everyone on my team is either from like 21 to 26.
Right.
Like max.
No, that's smart. That's
And I
definitely the way you
think-
play.
And it's just so much more exciting that way.
I agree.
You get to, in my opinion, like seeing how these players develop and kind of pan out more. That's just,
Especially if you hit on one. That's so much more
know,
like,
I
I don't
know.
even know, like build yourself up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully we can get some more picks in. We can update you throughout the weeks as we move forward. But,
and there's a lot of debate about how the draft process is going to work in the upcoming years.
That's true.
Well,
so okay, yeah. So you keep every single player you have. Dynasty leagues are unlike redraft leagues. You keep your complete roster moving from year to year, but obviously you have new talent coming in with rookie class, so you need to have a way that you can filter in those rookies. So you're only keeping 15 of the 18 players that you draft, and then those 3 roster spots are going to be filled in next year's draft, which will be a combined pool of the new rookies and all free agents that aren't included in those 3. I understand there's a little confusion, but I think it'll work out fine.
I'm sure we'll figure something out.
Right.
It's just, it's going to be a lot different, obviously.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, we're drafting 18 players this year, and
It's very true.
next year,
Only 3. Well, I mean, that's the point of it. You're keeping your team
No, yeah.
forever.
No.
I got Damian Lillard. That was my first pick. Or second pick. I picked Jokic.
Yeah, Jokic.
We're going to the Nuggets game, too.
Hell yeah.
Let's go. Locked in.
Yeah.
All right.
Really excited.
We can spin to the next
And
one.
we're going to the Hornets. It was the first preseason game.
First preseason
Less
game.
than a month from today.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
October 2nd.
It's coming fast. Not
Very
fast
excited.
enough.
Very
but
excited. We
it's-
need the season to start as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Dude, I was honestly very excited for football to start, but like pretty let down by opening weekend. I watched a couple games, but like
I could take it or leave it, honestly. I mean, I just can't get into it as much.
I feel
There's so much negative energy around the league.
Yeah.
Everyone hates Goodell.
So much angst.
All these suspensions going around. Everyone's saying how much the rest of the league sucks. Like,
so much more likely that a great player gets hurt.
yeah, it's it's just
In general.
yeah, it's tough.
All right, we're excited about the fantasy league. Let's see what spins
All right,
next
next
on the wheel.
This is gonna
That's a
stop
good spin.
eventually.
I think it's on Dwayne Wade. So this will be a
Dwayne.
quicker topic. I just put him on there because he was rumored to be very, very likely to be bought out by the Chicago Bulls before the end of the first month of the season. So they're expecting by November time that he's going to not be a Bull anymore. That obviously they have to work it out contractually for how much money they'll be bought out for. But front runners for where he's going to be paid to play for probably like a next to nothing contract. We're talking
so?
like under $5 million probably.
Wow.
We'll go back to the Heat where there's a cloudy backcourt and there's a lot of people there, or to the Cavs. Do you think either of these places is he a major contributor? And if he goes to the Cavs, does that help them at all in the playoffs? What do you think?
I mean, I guess it would help them in the playoffs. It seems like everything is kind of just futile. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, who realistically are the Cavs going to get that's going to put them over the top? No one. Especially with, I don't know. That's just a sad team to me, especially with IT potentially being hurt.
He could be out for more than half the season.
Yeah.
That's very sad.
And now they're just going to get a bunch of players that are past their prime.
Yeah.
Got injury problems. That's just.
So the way
It's a sad team to me.
Yeah, you got to think about that. That starting lineup for that team could be Derrick Rose, Dwayne Wade, Jay Crowder, Tristan Thompson, and LeBron. So like, if your front court is Dwayne Wade and Derrick Rose, like you're going to have problems. There's a good chance that those people are going to miss a lot of games. There's a good chance that neither one of them can contribute the way that they were used to be able to at all.
Yeah.
But the biggest problem is they're both ball dominant guards that aren't great at creating for the rest of the team.
Yeah.
I don't
That's why
understand how that fits.
Calderon.
Right. Yeah, number
Maybe
81.
put Derrick Rose with the second
What
unit.
a
He's
goofy.
number 81.
Yeah, because they called it 81. What
gross.
I think they said it was the first time that number had ever been worn.
Yeah, I bet, for good reason.
It's ugly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's what they should do. I think that they should hopefully IT comes back sooner than later. I understand if they have to plug and fill for IT's absence, but they should start IT whenever he's healthy. And I think they should bring both D Wade and Derrick Rose off the bench because that's where they'll have value.
Yeah.
If they're in the starting lineup, they're not going to be able to match the intensity of who they're playing on the other side of the court.
Yeah.
Like if D Wade is forced to guard Klay Thompson for 25, 30 minutes a game, he's going to struggle. Like he used to be a great defender and he'll have spurts, but he doesn't have the legs that he used to.
Yeah.
So I think if they bring him off the bench, they'll be able to dominate against other bench units where they can score and they can use the things while LeBron's on the bench. So I think that it helps because he adds commendable depth.
Yeah.
And depth matters.
Yeah.
So that's how I see how it helps.
I agree
I
with you
don't.
there.
I mean, he enrolled his sons back into school in Miami, so maybe that says something. But I'm not really sure. That situation's a little bit more cloudy because they have so many people on that team, Dragic, Dion Waiters, so many people that I could really see him would rather go to the Cavs. Even if he was a six-man there, I think he would have a bigger role in the Cavs than he would in the Heat. So I'm very curious to what he wants in terms of his career trajectory.
Who knows? And if he goes to one of these teams, I assume you're just getting a one-year deal out of it, but
yeah, probably.
He's not going to win a championship. What's he going to do after that? You know what I mean?
I don't know. Maybe he's into ownership or something. Who knows? D-Wade, on the decline.
On the decline,
next
definitely. Has been for several years.
Oh, repeat.
We could keep talking about it.
Mike doesn't like that.
Why is Mike not in the league? Because he's not technology.
Yeah, he doesn't do technology. Double repeat. Yeah, he doesn't use computers. He types in, doesn't type. He writes shorthand. Okay, just choose one.
Okay.
Just choose one. Okay, Ray Allen, Jesus
Shuttlesworth.
Yeah, so Paul Pierce buried the hatchet, thanked Ray Allen for their time together, kind of forgave him, and it was heartfelt, but it wasn't super long. It was probably like 4 sentences.
Yeah,
just an Instagram post with the two of them together, just saying it's time that we kind of bring the band back together. I forget what the actual terminology was, but he tagged KG and he tagged Rondo in the photo, and he's clearly just trying to amend this former obvious friendship that they've had that was soiled by Ray leaving a free agency for Miami. How do you feel about the entire situation? Should KG or Rondo make a move? Do you think anything of Paul differently? What do you think about the whole thing?
I don't think anything differently about Paul. In my honest opinion, it feels like it seemed half-hearted. I'm pretty sure their arms were kind of around each other. Not Paul Pierce had a finger like this. I don't really want to point at Ray.
Holding something or something.
Yeah, it was weird. It seemed like honestly something that Paul Pierce's wife made him do because she's friends with Ray Allen's wife. I remember on that Area 51 segment, they're like, we used to go on vacations and everything together. That was my initial reaction, and I think it's until there's a big push and Paul wants to actually do this, then KG and Rondo
I don't know, but maybe it was the right idea. It would have been weird if he posted a photo of them hugging, smoking cigars together, maybe KG would be more whoa, what the heck is going on here? They're just he's just oh, I'm here, we're trying. I feel like it was more of a push to try to amend it, not necessarily it's over. It was kind of just I would like to have Ray Allen back into my life as one of my friends because I spent him out all the time. We went on this journey. We won a championship together. That type of stuff lasts with athletes, especially now when here and there they'll do commentating. I'm not really sure what Ray Allen does now. I think he's kind of just a family man. But those people stay in contact with the players that they have good relationships when they're in the league. So I like the move by Paul Pierce. I don't think that KG should do anything yet. And if he does come out and comes out with his own picture, he's hanging out with Ray Allen, more power to him. I'd be very happy about it because like we say, these guys sweat, blood, tears for us. And they won us as a championship. I love that. And I understand why they're upset in the first place. And I understand if KG never forgives him, but if he does, I think that'll be great. Yeah. I'd be down to see the big three back together.
It would be cool. It wouldn't feel the same.
No, it wouldn't. But it's different.
But it'd still be cool. What do you think about Ray Allen weighing in on the the whole Isaiah Danny trading?
Oh yeah. What did he say even? I completely forget.
It was like a Instagram rant or something saying how when executives trade players, it's different, and they completely cut ties and stab him in the back and send him away like Danny did to Isaiah, whatever. But then if a player leaves under his own doing, then they burn jerseys and do stuff like that. Right.
So it's all fan perception in comparison to it being a business. So I think for the overwhelming percentage, obviously there's going to be outliers, but the overwhelming percentage of fans understand if a player gets traded, it was out of his control. Yeah. And then obviously there's exceptions to the rule where Kyrie requests a trade, those type of things. But for the large percentage of the time, fans understand and they know what's happening, and that's why they do get so pent up and so angry, and you see jerseys be burned when a player chooses to go to another location instead of staying home with his team. So in terms of stabbing players in the back, I don't necessarily agree with that. I think there's probably plenty of players that
my word's not his. Sorry, Ray.
Right. There's probably plenty of players that still have good relationships with former management, former coaching, former things. But I could see that. You were talking to me before about Antoine Walker apparently was saying that Danny Ainge was backstabbing, kind of traded him after.
Basically called him a liar, I think.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe there are players that struggle to maintain a relationship with Danny and stuff like that, but I wouldn't be surprised if when IT returns to Boston, that if Danny's there and they hang out and they talk. I mean, I know Isaiah's hurt. We all read that letter. That letter was very heartfelt. Yeah. But I think that Danny is a businessman, but he's still like a good human. You know what I mean?
Like he's
not like a jerk.
Yeah.
Like I don't think he's just kind of like, oh, you're nothing. You're an asset. Like I can just throw you away.
Yeah.
But I think he understands that it's a business, and he tries to convey that to his players. I feel like he just like, hey, I loved you here. You did everything that we asked of you and more. Yeah. But I mean, sometimes it's time to move on.
Yeah, we're going a different direction. And the way Antoine kind of worded it too was like, yeah, he made me feel like I was in the future plans. Like it was very unclear.
Yeah. So maybe Antoine's stupid.
Maybe he just misunderstood him.
Yeah. I don't know.
I find it hard to believe that he like said something and completely went back on it.
That's
lied
true.
to him, you know?
Yeah.
That seems tough
I don't
to
know.
swallow.
All right. Well, Paul and Ray back together once again. We'll see about the others. We'll do like I don't know, like 2 more of these. Oof. 1 more of these.
Which one do you want to do?
Let's go to the draft.
Draft.
All right. So Adam Silver has proposed a plan to the owners. It hasn't been voted on yet, but he's trying to amend the draft and the lottery process so teams are less motivated to tank. And overall, it'll just be a little bit more evened out. So the amended changes would include you can't select in the top 3 in consecutive years. So all 3 of the it's actually just the Celtics and the Sixers. No, Celtics, Sixers, and Lakers selected in the top 3 back-to-back in the past 2 years. So this year, this draft that just happened, we wouldn't have been able to. The highest pick that all 3 of those teams would have been allowed to have would have been 4. Another change was the 3 top teams currently, as instituted by the draft lottery, it's 25% for the first overall pick, 19 point something for the second overall pick, and then 15.6. They would change them so it's all even. So whether it's 20% for all of them, 18, whatever it is, it would be even for all 3 teams. And then the third amendment was that they would allow for a bigger drop in where your worst case scenario could be if you were like a top pick. So as of the last system, it was if you had the highest chance of being number 1 overall pick, the lowest pick you could get was 4. Now they're changing that, so it's either 5 or 6. So they're dropping down. So overall, what I think this does, just initially, is this is going to decentivize tanking for a little bit to a degree. But I think if they're doing it more so that every team, like there's blocks in terms of like tiers for what you can like be projected to get. So if the top 3 all have a 20% chance to get the number 1 overall pick, and then if picks like 4 through 7 all have the same percentage again, if that's what they're leading to, I think that's going to incentivize teams that are in the middle of the pack to maybe either fall down or make a push. So I think that's going to put a value in being a middle of the pack team rather than a bottom team, because it's less likely that you succeed. So because there's 3 ways that you can get to being a championship contender. You need a star. So there's 3 ways to get a star. You can get a star through free agency, you can get a star through trade, or you can get a star through the draft. And now they're clearly trying to make it so that the draft is less just of an obvious thing that you can just tank and just get number 1. So I think that it's going to make it eventually, what the road that they're trying to get down is that you want to be a middle of the pack team that come January, come February, you can make the decision whether or not, hey, we're going to push for the playoffs, try to get some fan interest, try to get some more revenue, hopefully get a home playoff game, or okay, let's play our young players a little bit more. Let's just stipend down the minutes of our good player, if it's a star player or not, and try to just drop our rankings, because if they get down to the 7th percentage, they could end up with a 4th pick. So I think that it's going to transition, make it more competitive on the bottom. So I think that overall the goal is good. I don't even know if it's going to pass. Yeah. Do you have any just impressions overall about what Adam Silver's trying to do?
Well, I think it's kind of interesting, like, if you know what tier you're saying you're going to be in, it doesn't benefit you to like lose every single game, try to get every whatever, drop that one spot. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think that'll make a big difference, and maybe you'll see a little more competition out of the bottom of the league. But also, what like the Celtics, what are they supposed to do about not having a bottom 3 pick, because it wasn't their pick the last 3 years or 2 years?
Right.
You know,
well, I mean,
is it because it's not like they're tanking?
No.
Would they be punished because the Nets suck, basically?
No, it's more so that if you get pick assets that aren't yours, that pick isn't in your control anyway. So you're up to whatever their fate is. That's what you're dealing with. You don't have control over that. Yeah. So it would just be the same thing. It would just be what the result would be mandated by different rules, you know? So, maybe the Celtics, I mean, we don't have to worry about it, but if the rule was put in place last year, maybe we would have had to worry about the Nets only finishing with the worst record, but it being more likely that we get the 4th pick or something like that. But that's not really something we need to worry about. I think it's a good idea, and I think it's a good attempt. The biggest problem is everyone's saying this isn't enough. Like, we need to completely try to get rid of tanking, and like you need to make the lottery way more open-ended. Some people are saying get rid of the draft, which is a little crazy, but I think this is a step in the right direction. And I think if he tries to do a huge step, it gets shot down. I mean, he works for the owners. It's the same as everything else. It's a players' league because it's more player-friendly, and Adam Silver is a players' commissioner. But it's still, every rule that needs to be passed needs to be agreed upon by all the owners. So I think it's a good idea.
To do.
Right. I think next one, we'll do one more and then we'll switch to a mailbag.
What do we got? Lakers, NBA ranked. Do you have the ranks?
I have, do Lakers or Rockets? You just choose.
Eyes
closed, just go back and forth. Oh no, who's it going to be? Okay. All right, yeah. So the Houston Rockets were purchased for $2.2 billion, billion with a B, by this guy named Tillman Fertitta or something like that, Fertitta, or I don't even know. Fertitta. He's basically like some like restaurant mogul, owns like over 300 companies or something like that. His net worth, it was like something close to $4 billion.
Very impressive.
Yes, he's wealthy. This purchase ranks first all time for the NBA in terms of how expensive a team is sold for. It was previously held by Steve Ballmer, who purchased the Clippers, I forget when that was, a couple years back, for $2 billion. So this is the first one. So Forbes had the Rockets ranked at the 8th most valuable NBA franchise. They were valued at 1.65, but just because of ownership bias in terms of what it means to own a sports team, obviously it sold for higher. Beyonce and like Dikembe Mutombo and a bunch of other people tried to rally, and Mutombo even said that they tried to rally like a bunch of money, and like they tried to get like Tracy McGrady to put money in and tried to have like a co-management to purchase the team.
Is this guy a supervillain or something? Why do they not want?
No, they don't. They just wanted to purchase the team for themselves. So they tried to do it, and apparently Mutombo was saying that they got close to $2 billion raised.
Really?
To try to purchase the team. Yeah, but it didn't end up happening. Leslie Alexander, the guy who just sold it, he purchased the team in 1993. And when he purchased it, he got it for $85 million. So obviously a great payday for this guy. Good job turning it around. Do you think that this says anything about the trajectory of our league? What do you think about likelihood of another team being sold? I don't know.
Well, we were just listening to the Nets potentially being sold.
Yes.
Sounds like whatever Prokhorov has been trying to do that for a couple years actually and having a tough time. Understandable.
He seems like he hates it.
Yeah.
I feel like he doesn't.
He wants out. He was like, this was not what I'd signed up for.
He thought it was so easy. When he came in, he was like, oh, we're not championship contender.
Yeah.
Like, what do you say? In 4 years, I will get married or something like that. It was,
I'll get married.
Yeah, that's what he said, but he didn't get married.
Interesting.
But I don't know. I think it's exciting. I'm disappointed that Mutombo and Beyonce didn't purchase
that would
it.
have been cool.
But I don't know. When you see new ownership comes into place, usually they try to change things up. Sometimes it takes a while before like anything drastic happens. But when Ballmer bought the Clippers, we saw changes with their arenas and their facilities and things that they were putting money into, and stuff was broken down a little bit more different. They became more of a analytics cognizant organization. Just this year, they're instituting like you can buy like courtside celebrity seats or something like that for like really high tickets, and you get to know who's sitting next to you. So it's like you can go to the game and like you'll know that you're sitting next. I don't even know who a Clipper super fan is, but like the equivalent of Jack Nicholson or whatever. Like you can know who you're sitting next to. So I think we could probably see that type of change coming in the next 2 years. What was different about this is usually teams are sold when they're at a low, and they're sold when somebody wants to get out of it, and they're sold because they're in a good market and the owner is struggling with that. This is the complete opposite. This team is a Western Conference Finals contender. They're a team that just extended their best player to one of the, at the time, the largest deal ever in like NBA history. James Harden 3 years from now is going to be making like $50 million. So it was a little more peculiar because everything was set in stone. So that makes me nervous a little bit because maybe this for Tida guy isn't as invested because he saw a finished product that he could get his hands on, not really have to do much with. And it would be,
I didn't think about it that way.
So I don't know. I think it's exciting and it's good for the league to know that valuations are this high and we have a selling point for not even the best team at that lofty of a price. That says something good about the standing of the league.
I do think that's really cool, and hearing that, like $2.2 billion, that's a crazy number. On the way here, I heard on the radio, not even a sports channel, someone say that, like in terms of popularity in the U.S., it's football, baseball, college football, NASCAR, the basketball.
Yeah.
That is wild to me.
I don't
was
believe
shocking.
I don't believe that. I mean, right now, if in the world, soccer's first, basketball's second in the world.
I believe that. Yeah.
So I mean, it's
more of a
I don't know. It's
international
interesting.
sport.
Whatever. We're growing. We're more liked than the NFL. I feel like.
Yeah. Well,
people just watch it.
That's
it's just
what I also want to
grandfathered
talk about. Like when we were talking about the negative thoughts and how there's just like this cloud over the NFL.
Right.
It seems like.
I mean, it doesn't
but
have
people
that.
still. I mean, people still.
It's just
do
because
ridiculous
the
things
NFL is
to
just
watch football.
grandfathered in. All of a sudden, the NFL is considered the pastime of American sports. They kind of took baseball's place.
Yeah.
Baseball's been trailing off for a while, and I feel like
they're on
that's
the way
probably
out.
why they still stand kind of high in the rankings, just
Yeah.
because of their historical connotations. But I think the NBA is on the rise, and I think it'll
sure.
be up there soon.
Yeah.
But I'm excited about that. All right,
Very
let's
excited.
jump to a mailbag. Thanks for the wheel. Good spinning, but kind of tailed off the end. We'll see.
That's all.
So we got some questions here. Logan, fellow guest, fellow brother, submitted some questions. He wants to know, what are the Lakers going to look like next year? What are they going to do? And if Magic Johnson will be suspected of any more shenanigans. We didn't actually talk about the tampering, but they got fined $500K for tampering. So what do you think about the Lakers? What are they going to do actual basketball-wise? And what do you think about Magic's likelihood of kind of getting screwed over for the team again?
He's always up to shenanigans, and I don't think he meant to. I would not be surprised if he just went and talked to Paul George and was like, hey, what's happening, Paul?
Yeah.
and like, you're not supposed to do that.
Magic,
like,
come on, you
and he
can't do
just had no idea that was a rule. So maybe he's learning as he's doing it.
Right.
Seems like, if I had to guess. So I would not be surprised to see some more tampering in his future.
I think he definitely has more shenanigans under him. And exactly like you say, I think he's a little oblivious to all of the nuances of owning and management. And I think it's going to be interesting. There's going to be roadblocks, and I think he's just going to not get away with it, but a $500,000 fine, even though it's like the second biggest fine that's ever been given for tampering, and it's something like a top 20 or top 15 fine ever. But at the same time, that's nothing. Like
it doesn't matter.
Relevantly, it doesn't mean anything. So I think he's just going to come out of it every single time with his big smile, being like, "Oh well, I was just winking on Jimmy Kimmel,
right.
like I wasn't," you know what I mean? So I don't know. I expect the Lakers to be better than people think. Like there's a lot of hype going on the Lakers, but at the same time, people are very reserved when actually predicting records. People are expecting them to be in the bottom 3 teams in the league, which would obviously help us because we have their pick. I think they're going to be a tiny bit better than that, but they're still a bottom team.
Yeah.
I would probably place them around the 5th worst or 6th worst teams.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
I think they're better
Bottom
than the
3 doesn't
Kings,
seem
they're better
right.
than the Suns, they're better than the Nets, they're better than the Bulls. And that right after that is kind of where I could see them fall in. But again, I wouldn't be surprised if they made a slight push above it.
Aren't the Hawks going to be absolutely
Yeah, the
horrendous?
Hawks too. Yeah, I completely forgot about them. The Hawks, they're definitely worse than them. So yeah, so like 5 or 6 is what I expect them to be.
Yeah.
I think they're going to have some exciting games. Lonzo Ball clearly is a very exciting player to watch. It all depends on their young players' development. They have Brandon Ingram, they have Julius Randle. They have other pieces they have that like Ivica Zubac. It'll be interesting how he fits in with Brook Lopez coming there. They still have Larry Nance. So they have a lot depending on players that are completely unproven.
Yeah, you can't really predict. But that's exciting. If you're a Laker fan, there's a lot of
things to look forward to.
promising stuff in the future.
I agree.
think.
I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to watch them. Like I get League Pass every year, and they're definitely going to be one of the teams that I tune into.
Yeah, definitely.
When we were buying tickets, we were looking into Lakers tickets, but they're like crazy expensive.
Yeah.
They're like over
not really worth
$150. Yeah, we got to find value.
And
All right.
I wonder if Magic also, like, what if they were talking about between. I mean, it seemed unlikely that the Lakers would trade for Paul George,
Right, yeah,
obviously.
they didn't
So
wanna lose assets.
was he just like, hey, are you gonna come
Right.
to the Lakers next
Yeah,
year or
what's
what?
their deal?
So
Yeah.
maybe. I mean, it's kind of scary to think about
Right.
that. I don't know if that's obvious or not.
A few more questions from Logan. Could Russell Westbrook and Paul George recruit another star to OKC? And in addition to that, if Paul George is considered a shooting guard, do they now have the best backcourt in the league?
As far as having the best backcourt, I mean, that's I think so.
So, yeah.
I was thinking about it on the way here, and just the defense. I like that defensive lineup. I think that's huge. And Paul George is a little bit oversized, but he's like an all-NBA defender. He's really good, and
He likes playing the 2.
Yeah, he's not as ball dominant, obviously, as Russell Westbrook. No one is, but
I don't know. I think they move into the second best.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's Steph. I think Steph and Clay
Really?
drop to the 3rd. I think
Wow.
the best backcourt in the league is Harden and CP3. And if you think about it, if you're just ranking players, I mean, the top tier is LeBron and then some combination of Kawhi and Durant, in whatever order you want to put them. That's the top tier. And then the second tier is three guys again, and it's Steph, Harden, and Westbrook. And I think that's the second tier after that, and you can switch those around in whatever order you want. But in the next tier after that, you can maybe have some debate, but I think that Chris Paul is in that tier, and other people in that tier, Anthony Davis or Giannis, and I think that's kind of that tier. But I think there's another tier before it's players like Jimmy Butler and Paul George, and then Klay Thompson's probably around like 14 or 15. So if you actually think about it, like, hey, the Rockets have sixth best player and the eighth best player. Isn't that better than having the fifth best and the 15th?
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, defensively, I think that Chris Paul is the best one besides maybe Paul George, but I would still probably put CP3 above Paul George in terms of a backcourt defender. I don't know. I think that we'll see how it works out on the court, because that's another thing. I could see that Russ and PG-13 meshing better than Harden and Paul, so maybe it'll work out better. But I think just overall, in terms of like a pair with actual talent level, I think that Harden and CP3 are the number one. But it's crazy now that how superpowered the backcourts are. That's actually absurd.
Yeah, it's awesome.
What was his first question? Oh, yeah, another star. Do you think they could bring another star there?
I mean, I feel like just Paul George's future is so up in the air.
Yeah.
If you're someone potentially coming there, I mean, are we talking about free agency or a trade or what? But
well, it would probably have to be a trade, because if they tried to do a free agency, you would be too many things would be up in the air, because you would be dealing with that in the same time period of dealing with Westbrook and Paul George next season. So I think that if I was what the heck is his name? Whatever, the guy from
Presti.
Yeah, Presti. If I was Presti, I would be trying to get another All-Star big in the mix. And I think that both Cantor and both Adams have a lot of value, and I think they have a good amount of picks to put on the table. Our friend Ray posted in our My Wheelhouse Dynasty draft group that some type of possibility of Adams with like 3 unprotected first-round picks for Anthony Davis. I don't necessarily think that's capable, but the Pelicans are a good team to look at, because I do think that if some situation where they're crashing and burning and it's January or February, targeting either Boogie Cousins or Anthony Davis is something that a lot of teams are going to do, and especially teams that are right on the brink of being a top contender, a top 1 through 4 seed in the conference. We're talking about Celtics. We're talking about maybe even the Wizards try to get in the mix. So we're talking about the Blazers. So teams like that, I think, are going to try to get involved in those players. I think this team makes a lot of sense. They were talking about trying to get Melo, and a lot of people like Jalen Rose has talked about them getting Melo. I think Bill Simmons. Yeah, but I don't think that's the type of player they want, and I don't think that's a player that would move the needle for Paul George staying. But if they go out and they get DeMarcus Cousins and they make some waves in the playoffs to make the Western Conference Finals, and they put up a fight against the Warriors, that's one Warriors injury away from a championship. Yeah. If you think about that team, I'm excited for their ability to get one of those places, and I think that Paul George is going to love playing in OKC. It seems like a great environment. It seems like the fans are very loyal and love the team. They have a lot of energy, and their team is really good. They're one of the strongest defensive teams in the league. Yeah. He fits in perfectly with that. Russell Westbrook is dynamic, and he seems like he's a great teammate to have. I do question his actually being a teammate on the floor with him, but I don't know. I think that he could stay if they bring in another top 20 player, and I don't think it's completely outlandish for them to do that.
Yeah, I think Paul George is going to be much more willing to take like the back seat than Kevin Durant was too, and I think that's going to be a little like, I think that dynamic is going to work out in these two favor more than him and Durant. That seemed like that just created all kinds of problems.
Paul George does play very well off ball, so I think that he's going to do well working off screens, and I think that Russ is going to be more willing to defer a last-second shot or something like that because of the work that he had put in place and because of the heat that he took when he played with Durant. And now he's kind of like, he's gotten to his apex. I don't know if he can get better. Like, he just averaged a triple-double last year. Like, that was one of the best seasons ever. So I think he's kind of like, maybe he's met some personal goals, and maybe now he has his crosshairs set on a championship. And if he wants that, he's going to please the star players around him, and he's going to push to try to recruit other players to come and play with them so they could actually win. So I think that they should, and I think that they can. I think, like I said, I think Cantor's a great piece that they don't need. I mean, he doesn't defend. He's a good off-the-bench spark for scoring, but I don't think they necessarily need that. I think they need another player to come in, specifically a front-court player, because I think Roberson and other players like that should stay because they need to keep their like defensive kind of identity intact.
Grit,
yeah, they're grit. Yeah, I agree. So I don't know. I'm excited about the potential for them to do it.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're going to do it. I think Paul George is leaving.
Yeah, I think he's out. But I do think if they could get him to sign an extension, that would be wicked cool.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I would love to have him
instant
there.
one of the best teams.
Yeah, I would be
like
down.
favorite, best.
Right. I agree. I know what you mean. So we talked about best cohort in the league. Logan has 2 more questions. 1v1, Kelly Olynyk, Brian Scalabrine, both in their primes. Who you got?
I got,
Is Kelly in his prime yet?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I'd like to see them in the same room standing next to each other because I feel like I think Scal is way better of a basketball player. I love Scal. I think he's awesome.
He was great.
But I feel like Kelly is just such a moose. He's going to back him down and just abuse him down low.
I don't know. Okay, so you're picking Olynyk.
No, I got to go Scal. Can't.
All right, so I was going to pick
But
Scal.
I'm super worried.
I was going to pick Scal regardless.
Yeah.
Scal's got some big hips. He's not
he's
worried
got
about
baby
being back
bearing
down.
hips.
I think he was more athletic in his prime. He was quicker in his prime.
Definitely.
I mean, we're talking about like his final days in the Bulls. Like he would have highlight dunks.
Yeah.
So like I mean, the clinic has lots of highlight missed dunks.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're both very funny players to watch.
Yeah.
They're both very like herky jerky kind of like. I'm a shooter, but I'm very, very unathletic. It would be one of the slowest games overall to ever watch one-on-one. I think Scal edges him out just because, I don't know. It would be...
But we also haven't seen Prime Kelly.
That's very true. It would be breathtaking to watch, but disgusting to watch at the same
absolutely
time. Breathtakingly disgusting.
I think it's going to be really interesting to see pictures of Kelly in Miami, just outside of the arena.
Yes.
He seems like he must stick out like a sore thumb.
He's
like Boston,
he's
there's a
gonna
bunch
look like a jabroni.
there's a bunch of like pale white guys with blonde hair all over the place. But
I bet you he does, like, he's got to cut his hair. I think he's going to cut his hair.
You think so?
I think he's going to do something weird with his hair.
This is going to get so warm,
He's
the
going to start
neck
sweating.
beard.
Yeah. Logan's last question. How does Golden State not win a title? So we were joking in the message, like, oh, yeah, plane crash. But, like, knock on wood. But obviously we don't want that. But literally, injury aside, there's very few ways and very few like avenues that result in them not winning the title. We spoke on OKC maybe getting DeMarcus Cousins. I don't think that pushes them over Golden State. Maybe if the Cavs got DeMarcus Cousins, that's a little bit higher on the thing, but I do think the only person that turns the needle either way or the other is Anthony Davis. Because if you look at this, the Warriors have 2 top 5 players, 3 top 15 players, and everyone loves Draymond, and some people have Draymond top 15. But I'm going to say 4 top 30 players, just because I'm giving Draymond a lot because I hate Draymond. I don't even think he's a top 30 player. But regardless, you need to have several all-stars to be contending for a championship. You need to have 1 to be a playoff contender. You need to have 2 to be a top 4 contender, and now you need to have 3 or 4 to win a championship. Yeah. So if you think about these other teams and what other players they could get, like Giannis isn't going anywhere. Anthony Davis is like Jimmy Butler just went to another team. That team is far and away from being able to contend. Anthony Davis needs to go to another one of these top rosters. If Anthony Davis goes to the Cavs, if Anthony Davis goes to the Thunder, if Anthony Davis maybe goes to the Spurs, maybe, but I don't even know if that would be enough. So I think if Anthony Davis moves or if LeBron moves, and I think that's the only way that they don't win, and I think that they are next to a shoe-in to win this year. Bearing an injury, I think an injury could happen. They've had pretty great health for a pretty long time.
They got some injuries coming.
They're due, exactly. So I don't know. Maybe in the next couple of years, I think there's a lot more options that come on the table.
Absolutely.
This year specifically, I think injuries are the only thing that result in them not winning a title.
I agree. Especially we're talking about a trade that might happen in like January.
Right.
And then you get like a couple months.
Takes time to mesh.
Like that's no chance.
Right.
Zero chance that any player is going to get another team over the top, in my opinion.
I don't know. I just next year, if we sign a different free agent, or if we get another player in the draft, or we flip something and we get an Anthony Davis, that's when we can talk with the Celtics. We can talk about getting into that debate, and it really varies. If we see Paul George and LeBron go join Lonzo Ball and the Lakers, like that team isn't better than the Warriors, you know. So it's very interesting. There will be more options in the coming years, but this year I say injuries alone.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, James from where he's from, like Nyack or something like that. Rank the new teammate duos. So we kind of already touched on this a little bit. Rank new teammate duos. So we have Kyrie Irving and Gordon Hayward, LeBron James and Isaiah Thomas, James Harden and Chris Paul, and Russell Westbrook and Paul George. So I I think I just put LeBron first just because he's the best player.
Yeah.
Even though IT is the worst player out of all those. Maybe IT healthy is better than Gordon Hayward right now, and he was better than Kyrie last year, but this coming season he's not going to be. And then I think I have Harden, and then I have Westbrook, and I think we have the worst duo, but I think that our duo meshes better than all three of those. So I think our two will have clear-cut chemistry earlier on than all three of the other ones, but just in terms of ranking them for talent or whatever you're ranking them for, I do think that they're fourth.
I agree that they're fourth, but I think they're also they're the youngest.
That's
are
true.
They not?
Yep.
I mean,
No, they are. Yeah.
And so I
By
think,
far.
I think they're going up. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
Everyone else is kind of like going for
gonna
it right now, see what happens.
Right.
Especially like IT and LeBron, you have no idea what IT is gonna be
That's
like.
true.
That's pretty scary.
He could be a shell of himself when he comes back.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope he comes back, and I hope he's incredible again. But
I know. I heard the word cartilage thrown around, and the last time I heard that was Brandon Roy. That was the only other time I heard that too.
That's
also,
scary.
yeah. That
Love
there's
Brandon Roy though.
I know. Yeah, loved him.
That's true.
Now he's a ghost.
So who you got first? Who's your first?
First, I guess I have to say LeBron, because LeBron, with like most people, is way better than everyone else.
Like LeBron and Tristan Thompson's better than those other duos.
Yeah, pretty much. But I still think I like Paul George and Russ better than CP3 and Harden. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Stick with it. All right. Harry from somewhere in, I don't know, Attleboro maybe, is Boston now a destination team? I think that they are, purely based on management and historical significance and likelihood to contend. They aren't in terms of an area.
Yeah.
You have like Lakers, Clippers,
Absolutely not.
Miami. Those are common destination teams. And so to be a destination team, you either need to have a nice location or you need to have all those other things I just said. And Celtics have everything but the location.
Yeah, we definitely do. And I think it's already proven that we are a destination. I mean, Gordon Hayward came here, Al Horford came here.
Right.
And yeah, I think that
Before
Brad
that,
Stevens and Danny Ainge
getting the big three before that, I think that we're a destination team. I think if we're not on the top of the list of free agents that are just thinking of places to go, I think we're got to be in the top 5 or 6. And I think that players understand that if you go here, it's going to be a regimented and structured organization where you're going to be told what you're being expected to do and how to perform, and you're going to be worked to your highest potential. And I think that's what players want. And the players that want to win want to come to environments where we're going to be funneled in a way that they will win.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly. And we're getting the best out of players. Like Brad Stevens is doing an unbelievable job.
Perfect lead in to the next question from Harry again.
Oh, gotcha.
Where could Brad Stevens land all time in the list of coaches? So I think this is a pretty ambiguous question because I don't think I've ever even thought about like ranking the best coaches all time. So you got like Red, Phil, and Coach Pop. I think are already like 3 of the top 5 already locked in stone.
Yeah.
But then there's a lot of kind of just fogginess around all the other things. Like, do you include college coaches? Is that included? Is that stuff like that? I don't think that Brad can break the top. I mean, he's young. What is he, 35? So maybe he can break top 20 coaches all time.
That would be pretty cool.
But he would need to win
lots of
4 to 5 championships to be considered up there. Yeah. I don't think it's that crazy. Top 20 all time coach. If Mike was on, he could rattle off like 30. He would just be saying coaches.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Larry Brown.
Yeah, like could he be better than Larry Brown? Like Larry Brown won a couple of championships.
Yeah.
Like could he be better than him? He won one with the Pistons.
I think that's more impressive when you think about Larry Brown winning with the Pistons, because everyone else is like, oh, Phil Jackson coached Michael Jordan and Kobe.
Yeah, that's very true.
You know what I mean? I feel like Brad Stevens, he's not going to have the best player in the league at any point, or even top 4 or 5.
Right.
So I think that if he can win a couple championships, it's more meaningful, more impressive than someone like Phil Jackson or Red Auerbach winning like 11 out of 13 or whatever.
I think it really helps him that he is so young, because I think he's going to have plenty of shots at it. So what does he have, a 20-year window to win as much as he can and prove himself as much as possible? Yeah. These other coaches coming in, Phil Jackson, when he started, I think he was like around 40. I'm not 100% sure, but these other coaches probably started a little bit further down the road, so I think he has more time to work out mistakes. He's already proven that he's a top-tier coach in the league right now. All he needs is the medal. You know, he needs to get that type of recognition. Yeah. All right, a couple more. Sam from, I think he lives in Charlestown or Somerville now, whatever, Ipswich. Is Terry really untradeable? So this is pretty funny. So after the trade had happened with Kyrie, Terry was answering some type of questions from some type of media person. I can't remember whether it was on what social media platform it was on. But basically he said like, oh, Danny loves me. Danny's not going to trade me. Like, I'm untradeable. Like, I'm a key piece of this team. And I think he was like joking, but like he definitely said it very seriously. I hope Terry's untradeable. I would love to keep him around. And it seems like it honestly does seem like Danny's pretty invested. Like, he kept him around. The only trade that he wasn't willing to trade him for like Serge Ibaka. That was a big thing that he wouldn't trade him for Serge Ibaka.
Done that.
Yeah, I mean, I would have done that at the time.
Probably would have been a bad idea. But.
Yeah, right, exactly. Danny knows. Danny loves Terry. I think just keeping him around in just this backup point guard, like maybe third string point guard, depending on who the other players are on the roster, is just Danny's just clearly likes this guy a lot and wants to be able to have him have a role, but he doesn't yet. I don't think, obviously he's not untradeable. No one's untradeable in the league besides maybe like LeBron, but I think he's pretty close. He's higher than other people that have a larger role on the Celtics. I would say he's higher. I don't even know. We don't have that many players that are long tenured anymore. So like
4.
Yeah, right, exactly. But I don't know. Do you think he gets traded?
I think he gets traded? Probably not.
I'm gonna say no.
It's just
I'm gonna say he doesn't get traded.
Law of averages, and most people don't get traded.
Right.
But I love that comment. On one end of it, I think it's hilarious. Right. And Terry, I heard one of Zane's friends works at the Garden and like takes the players around on like media days and stuff like that. Said Terry was a huge stiff.
Really?
And I was really disappointed by that.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
That is sad.
And that's funny.
I refuse to believe that.
It's either he's joking and he's funny, or he's blindly confident in himself, and that's awesome.
Either way, great. It's great.
And a little bit of both, awesome also.
Perfect.
I love the comment. Excited for Terry. He was supposed to be like the breakout player of the year. That's what after last year's summer league.
Right, he was.
And I feel like this year was a little bit of a letdown.
I like him. I think he's going to be a great ninth man.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Very excited for him. Mike is way high on him. He has him. He thinks his ceiling is like a top 10 point guard in the league or something like that. I don't know. I forget what he said.
Top 10 point guard. I feel like that's. I mean, that's pretty good, but.
No, he said something crazier than that. I forget. We'll have to watch back. Chris, I have no clue where Chris is from. Somerville as well. Did the Cavs get fleeced because Brooklyn isn't going to get a top pick? No, they did not get fleeced. So this trade, I think the trade was an even trade. I think both teams got better. I think it improves. Both teams got what they wanted. They got the young player asset in the pick, or with Zizic as well, and they got pieces to contend now with Jay Crowder and IT. People need to. I don't know what this clamoring for Brooklyn being like. Oh, like they're going to be like they're going to get an 8th or 9th pick
because D'Angelo Russell is on the team. Like I don't get that. I honestly don't get that.
It doesn't make any sense. Like, okay, I don't think they're the worst team in the league anymore. I think the Bulls are the worst team in the league now, and I think just in terms of roster, I think the Hawks are worse than them as well. But the Hawks have one of the better top 10 coach in the league in Coach Bud. So I think that alone is going to help them propel them over the Nets. I think the Nets are still a bottom 3 team, and with this percentages that we're talking about, that might not be instituted into the year after that. But even so, if they have a 19% chance to get the first overall pick, they still could. I don't know. I really think that there's still just as much of a chance of them getting the number 1 overall pick than there was last year. I think that they're still terrible. They may not be the worst pick, not the worst team in the league, but they're still a bottom 3 team. Yeah. They're still, them and the Suns are still like head and head. I think the Suns are a little bit worse, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Nets finished with the 2nd worst record in the league, basically. I think their over-under, it has them at the 3rd. I think the Suns and the Bulls are both projected less. Yeah.
I mean, I think they have less of a chance of getting that top pick this year, but it seems like also, I mean, you know more about the rookie class coming in, but you really can't say until they pick the player that they're going to
pick. That's very true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you can't get fleeced. So next year, the player class is coming in has 5 or 6 studs, they're saying, and then after that, it really falls off. So this past year was like 8 or 9 was what they were saying. Yeah. So now it's like it's a 5 or 6 players draft. And if you get the 5th or 6th pick, you pick who's left. But if you get a top 3 pick, you basically get to pick your poison for who you think is going to be the best player. Yeah. So there's a good chance that if they pick 2 or pick 3, that they're going to get the player that they wanted anyway. Get
the best player.
Yeah, like the Cavs next year could end up with Marvin Bagley, and he could be incredible. Yeah. Or what's the other guy? I don't even know. Like I think they didn't get fleeced. No team got fleeced. I think Brooklyn is awful, but I understand people's trepidation about them not getting the top pick.
Yeah, and I also, who knows? I'm just so scared about Isaiah. I really doubt that he's going to get back to where he was.
He might not play until the last 10 games of the season because they just want to ease him back in for the playoffs.
And even if he does, who knows how he's going to play? I just feel like there's so much pressure going on his hip.
That's very true.
He moves so quick. It just
his game
I'm
is
so
built off
scared.
explosiveness.
I'm so scared about that.
Yeah. All right. Last question is from Lucas. No clue where Lucas is from. I clearly don't know where any of these people are from. What do you expect of Marcus Smart now that he is one of the 4 Celtics that remain, longest tenured Celtic?
Yep.
After dropping 20 pounds, what do you expect as Marcus Smart as a leader and a player this year?
As a leader, I think it's going to be huge. Marcus seemed like he wanted to be a leader always, and now that he is the longest tenured Celtic, he's one of the people that's been around that knows the whole what it's like being in Boston.
Yeah.
I think he's going to have a huge role, and he's also now he is like the bulldog defender.
Yeah, exactly.
Avery's gone, Jay's gone, like it's him now, and I think that's huge. I think he's going to flourish in that role. And as far as losing 20 pounds, I have no idea. I loved that he could just push people around. And he said he's much more explosive, but his game, to me, doesn't utilize explosiveness.
So something that I thought about that is I think the explosiveness will help him on the offensive end, which is good because he's never been that great of a finisher around the hoop.
Yeah.
He's kind of been like kamikaze, and he's been a little crazy. I don't think that the 20 pounds is going to hurt him that much. I like the 20 pounds. So at first I was nervous. And everyone's saying like, oh my God, he beefed up at the end of last year. But then at last year, he was still that workhorse, gritty guy that was digging in, and he could stop players 1 through 4, positionless basketball, defensive player. But I think that defensively, he does improve with losing 20 pounds because,
it's tough.
Especially with Avery Bradley leaving, he's going to be dependent on to not really be like, oh, you're a floater. You're going to defend switch like, oh, you have to guard Paul Millsap on a switch. You have to guard this. Now we can be like, okay, Marcus, now you actually do have to follow Klay Thompson around screens permanently. And I think losing that, maybe that explosion is going to help him be able to fight around screens, weave off ball a little bit better. I think he's going to improve on both ends of the ball. I'm expecting a lot of him. I think that he's going to be the heart of that integrity in terms of what our team stands for, in terms of like the Celtics identity that's carrying over. He's going to be responsible for like kind of transferring that over to the new guys and Kyrie and stuff. I think he's going to be huge for Kyrie. I think they're going to start him some games. They're going to bring him off the bench for the majority. But I wouldn't be surprised if in the beginning of the season they started him so him and Kyrie play more together, just as a way to motivate Kyrie. Because I think that's going to help a lot. But I think once they actually get into the swing of it, we're going to start Jalen a little bit more. But I'm excited. I love Marcus. I'm very happy we kept him. I love Avery. You picked him in the Dynasty League. You picked Avery. Obviously, I love Avery. He's one of the best perimeter defenders in the league. But I think him leaving and bringing in obviously a very similar player to Isaiah, offensively dynamic player, is really going to force Marcus to really develop his skills on all around. I think a big season's coming from him. He's still on the board.
Very excited.
On the fantasy draft,
too. I know, he's been hanging around there.
Could go for him there.
I don't know what he brings to the table fantasy-wise.
Yeah, he steals.
Steals, basically just steals. But I didn't think about that, but I feel like when you do see Marcus getting exposed, it's by quicker guards.
That's true.
And he's obviously going to be have a little more lateral quickness now, and I think that was a good point. I agree with that.
So we're going to play one of these, and then we're going to take it home. We're just going to play 3v3.
3v3?
Yeah. You're going to get like 6 cards, so build the best team that you can. You can flip them over because I think that's
not bad.
All right. And
ooh.
All right. No coaches. Let me know when you got your team.
This is half court 3v3?
Half court 3v3. Okay. That's very helpful. I don't know what to do with that. Okay. I got my 3. My 3 are Scottie Pippen, Joe Dumars, and Shaquille O'Neal. So I got shooting, I got defensive versatility with all 3 of them, great defenders, and Shaq is a dominant in the post with space player. Who you got?
Let me start with my bench. Coming off the bench is Anthony Davis.
Okay.
That's probably going to surprise a lot of people. My first pick was Vlade Divac.
Vlade.
I just want to see him. I feel like with space in a half court 3-on-3, he could do wonders.
He's a good passer.
That man can pass the ball. I love that about him.
That's smart.
And watching that 30 for 30 with him and Drazen Petrovic made him one of my favorite players of all time. I got Russ, who street ball 3-on-3. He's going to do crazy things too. And Alonzo Mourning to just. I was going to say push people around. I don't know if he's pushing Shaq around, but
I don't know. I like my team. I don't know. Do you think? I think I get the W.
Yeah.
I don't know about you.
Yeah, probably.
We don't have a third person to pick the win, but I think Scottie, Shaq, and Joe Dumars takes down your trio.
I see Alonzo Mourning exposing Scottie Pippen.
Exposing Scottie Pippen.
Exposing him.
I think
He doesn't have to chase him around. I was trying to think of who was going to guard your three.
What do you mean? Scottie's going to guard Vlade.
It doesn't matter who.
You're going to switch him?
Oh, right, yeah.
I'm not
You get
nervous.
to choose who you pick.
Yeah.
Who plays defense. But still.
I'm going to take the W. I win.
Yeah,
we don't have a
probably.
third person to do it. All right, so that's all the time we have today. Thanks for coming on. Let's get you back on here soon.
Thanks for having me.
Played some cards, have some good times. Hopefully we'll be back next week, and it'll be more fun on the way. Thanks for joining. Goodbye from my wheelhouse.